Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pirate, L, the Six-Eyed Susanoo, I am the strongest. Chapter 61. Chapter 49 Lucky Choice. The Fall of the Pirate Empress. A gust of fragrant wind blows over, with violent domineering mixed with unique charm. This attack looks very wonderful. But if you are attacked by such a move, it won't feel wonderful. The same was true for Kurosawa. His eyes were cold. Looking at the long leg that was coming, his blue eyes flashed slightly. In just a moment, Kurosawa could tell that his current level of armed domination was not enough to completely resist this level of petrification ability. Stupid woman. With a low cry, Kurosawa raised his palm, and a blue-white energy ball condensed in his palm. The technique turns to Kang. Bang! The powerful wind blew, blowing the pirate empress's cheongsam around, and Boya Hancock was raising her legs high at this time. Now Kurosawa finally realizes that it is due to the effect of the fruit's ability, coupled with Boya Hancock's beauty, that it is easy to distract people even in battle. Unfortunately, he is not among these people. At this time, Boya Hancock herself didn't care about this at all. Her beautiful eyes were full of coldness. What did you, a man, just call me? Stupid woman. Ah, it seems that you are not only stupid, but also a little deaf. The corner of Kurosawa's mouth curled up. After hearing Kurosawa's repeated words, Boya Hancock's pretty face suddenly became extremely cold. At the same time, she was also shocked in her heart. Besides Luffy, is there any man who can't be conquered by her charm? No, this guy must be pretending. It's just a common trick used by men before. She only needs to use a little trick to make his true colors exposed. Thoughts flashed through. Boya Hancock's face returned to its usual nobility. Stop pretending. In front of me, all men are the same. Kurosawa didn't want to worry about what Boya Hancock thought. Kurosawa didn't think it was such a coincidence that this stupid woman suddenly came to him on such a huge battlefield as Malinfando. It's because of Luffy. That's right, at this point in time, this stupid woman should have been tamed by Luffy. Bang! As the technique reversed and Kang exploded, the two figures opened a certain distance apart. Boya Hancock swung his cheongsam at the waist, revealing his long white legs. At the same time, he held his head high and showed his power of truth. Soon, you will surrender at my feet and atone for your arrogance and hypocrisy. The pink arrow was drawn out from Boya Hancock's white fingertips, ready to go. Kurosawa was just speechless. Killing the current Boya Hancock would not do him any good. It's one thing that the Pirate Empress is not weak, but the key point is that there is no reward for killing Shichibukai. Besides, even if there is a bounty value, it is equivalent to asking Kurosawa to waste time killing Marco, who has a bounty of 89 million Bailey. It is simply thankless. After a certain proposal is passed, these Shichibukai are brought back to their prototypes, and the reward will be offered again. By then, he should have become the head of the Marine Reward Department. Then harvest again is the best choice, but this does not mean that he will tolerate this Boya Hancock now. You're just an old ant. You seem to be very proud. If I dare to take action, I'll kill you. After Kurosawa's words fell, Boya Hancock's eyes became completely shocked. Her experiences since childhood gave her the ability to distinguish between true and false words. And now Kurosawa's words give her the feeling that they are true. Kurosawa will really kill her. And with that murderous intent, as long as she takes action, she will probably be violently counterattacked by Kurosawa in the shortest possible time. How so? Could it be that this person wasn't fascinated by my beauty? How is it possible? I don't believe it. Besides Luffy, there are actually people. No, that's not it. Boya Hancock's heart was trembling, and his brain began to run at high speed. Luffy could not be impressed by me after seeing my naked body, but this Kurosawa must not be able to do it. As long as I use that move on him, he will definitely fall at my feet. No one can refuse her punishment, except Luffy. After reading this, Boya Hancock's face showed a smile again, and the corners of his mouth exuded a sense of charm. Ding! Congratulations to host for triggering a random Lucky Life choice. Lucky Life Choice 1. The Empress. Wound. Conquer Boya Hancock in terms of combat power, physical strength, and psychology. Reward. Conqueror's Domineering upgrade to LV6 or 1 level. Lucky Life Choice 2. The End of the Empress. No time limit. Kill Boya Hancock. Reward: 100,000 points worth of billion-level bounty. Lucky Life Choice 3. The Fall of the Empress. Defeat Boya Hancock, trample his dignity severely under his feet, complete the ultimate humiliation and finally successfully tame him. Reward: Evil Temperament plus 100, Super Hardening, Live Max. All attacks are accompanied by 500% abnormal feeling. Kurosawa looked at the choices in front of him and fell into deep thought for a while. Boya Hancock snorted coldly and put his hands on his waist. Humph. It's just a tough talk. If you have the ability, just follow me and go back to Nine Snakes. However, Boya Hancock's response was only to the murderous intent that became more and more intense around him, until it invaded his whole body. Boom, boom, boom. Just when Boya Hancock couldn't believe it, an earth-shaking sound came from the distant battlefield. Countless people followed the sound and saw that in the battlefield, there was a piece of red spewing straight into the sky. The scorching temperature even caused distortions visible to the naked eye. The bursting magma and fire are constantly sputtering, just like the world of fire descending on the world. Gulu Gulu. Whitebeard, you have worked so hard to gain so many stupid sons, and now it seems that they are going to collapse. Sakaski's whole body turned into lava, with only one pair of eyes staring at Whitebeard. Whitebeard felt the drastic changes in temperature around him, and his shirt was already wet with sweat. If it weren't for the domineering protective body that was surging crazily all over his body, he would have been cooked by the temperature at this distance. Looking at the red magma, Whitebeard had already fully realized the lethality just now. Let alone now, even at his peak, he could not defend against this level of destruction with just his armament and domineering power. The awakening level devil fruit, extraordinary physical dominance, and the marine nova who injured him, the decline of this war was all caused by him. This is the marine of the new era. Whitebeard's eyes swept across the battlefield. Porosalino and Kuzan were temporarily separated by captains such as Marco, Bista, and Josie. However, the captains were obviously very struggling. It is estimated that they will not be able to escape for too long before there will be generals intervening in Whitebeard's battle again. On the field, the Marines were also suppressed for a time due to Kurosawa's actions. Gu la la la. My sons, it's not your turn to point fingers. In such a difficult situation, Whitebeard was not afraid to laugh back, and the muscles in his arms and whole body bulged wildly. The world-turning vibrating force from his body resonated with the super-domineering force. Kakakaka. Countless cracks spread rapidly around Whitebeard. Seeing this scene, even the elementalized Sakaski felt an unprecedented sense of oppression. On the execution platform, Sangwo's expression was also unprecedentedly solemn. Whitebeard, is he going to take action with all his strength? Whitebeard now understands that it is no longer possible to rescue Ace without paying a heavy price. Everyone, listen to my order and rush to the execution platform with all your strength. I will clear the way for you. At this moment, there was no time to feel sad about Oz's death. All the pirates rekindled their fighting spirit and rushed to the execution platform. Dad, Ace, just hold on a little longer and it will be over soon. Boom, the world shakes, and the strongest man in the world goes all out. On the battlefield, Kurosawa's eyes flashed. Is this going to be brought forward? Is it to reverse the situation, or to accelerate destruction? Chapter 50 Invisible Slash, Domain Suppressing the Demon Chef. In an area not far from Whitebeard, extreme coldness and dazzling golden light are constantly spurting out alternately. There are also blue immortal flames, extremely sharp rose sword energy, and the indestructible diamond strong man. Go. The Whitebeard pirates dispatched 6 captains to block Kuzan and Porosalino. Kakakaka. Countless cracks spread rapidly with Whitebeard as the center. As his captain issued the order, the entire battlefield was about to usher in the heat before the climax. Get ready to dodge, we are too close to Dad, our king is going to take action for real. Marco gasped and shouted to the other 5 captains. Zizi. The 2 foil Bista swords caused a lot of sparks from the friction. The neat tuxedo became a bit messy after fighting with the 2 generals. Is Dad going to take over the battle? Then we just have to do it. Just move forward. Diamond, collision. Diamond Josie roared angrily, and the entire right half of his body turned into extremely pure diamonds at this moment. The terrifying muscles in his body that had been honed by countless hammers exploded with all their strength at this moment, and his figure rushed towards Ku as if he flashed. Praise. Kuzan sensed the murderous intention beside him in advance, and he was extremely proficient in fruit abilities and instantly activated his body elementalization before Josie bumped into him. Bang! Click, click, click. Kuzan's body turned into countless ice cubes and exploded. Josie looked aside angrily. General, this ability is really tricky. Captain Blenheim of the 9th Division gritted his teeth and gasped, "Let's go here first, Dad is going to take action with all his strength." The remaining 3 captains nodded, their chests rising and falling violently, and their breathing rapid. Even if it was 6 against 2, and the fighting time was extremely short, facing the general-level combat power, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates would be extremely exhausted. If it had been longer, the consequences would have been extremely detrimental to the Whitebeard pirates. Not far away, a line of ice quickly condensed into a human shape. Kuzan looked at Whitebeard with an indifferent expression. "Ah la la, this is really messy. This ability, oh, it's true. And these people seem to be dying, it's really scary." Porosalino condensed the laser with his fingers. He could fire it instantly, but after more than 2 seconds of precise aiming, he fired it, decisively, whoops. Marco flew into the air in a flash, and the laser beam passed through his feet. With a boom, he killed a dozen pirates behind him with one blow. Rumble. The space in the area where Whitebeard was located was completely shattered. The shocking power of the vibration finally made the space unable to bear it, and it completely exploded like glass. The entire Marineland began to shake dramatically under the influence of this force, as if on the eve of a major earthquake. On the execution platform, warring states looked extremely ugly. "Whitebeard, don't you care about the life or death of others?" Ace, who was kneeling on the ground, looked shocked. This was the first time he had seen his father use his abilities on such a large scale. This power, even from such a long distance, could not help but feel palpitations. Warring states picked up the phone and shouted angrily, "Everyone, adjust your formation, that man, the big one is coming. Come on, Dad, let these Marines see how invincible you are. The strongest rage in the world, tremble Marine." Under the shouts of the ferocious-looking pirates, the Marines' high morale finally began to waver. What's going on? Why does the ground seem to be shaking? Is a tsunami about to happen? But looking at the behavior of these pirates, why do you mean it was Whitebeard who caused it? Garp sat at the back, watching the shock that continued to spread throughout Marineland, and sighed in his heart. If this move continues, I don't know how many sailors will die. The one closest to Whitebeard is Marine General Sakaski. The pressure he faces can be said to be the heaviest in the audience. The terrifying power of vibration is like invisible weak water pressure. Within such a range, even breathing became extremely difficult. With such terrifying pressure, if it were an ordinary lieutenant general, Whitebeard's bones would have been crushed by the forward pressure before he even made a move. However, Sakaski still did not forget to smile under such circumstances. "Whitebeard, you fool, aren't you afraid that your dearest son will die?" "Eulala, you don't need to worry about my sons. Rather than this, you should worry about yourself first." Whitebeard smiled. The next second, Sakaski's expression froze. The entire Malinfando felt like someone had pressed the pause button at this moment, and then boom! The fluctuations affecting the entire battlefield were released with Whitebeard as the center. The terrifying power was even compressed and condensed into a substantial energy shield, which expanded rapidly. At this moment, Malinfando was enveloped in this white light, and even the real-time phone bug communication used for projection was temporarily interrupted. The fight between everyone was forced to end, and the fight between Kurosawa and Boya Hancock was no exception. The terrifying fluctuations spread rapidly, and the center of gravity of a large number of strong men began to lose balance. Only those true masters of physical skills could maintain balance in such a situation. Boya Hancock benefited from the help of the Python, and did not reveal any flaws in front of Kurosawa after such fluctuations came. Kurosawa secretly thought it was a pity, although upgrading Conqueror's entanglement to LV6 is extremely tempting, and its value far exceeds the 100,000 reward points. But in the current situation, he must race against time, and the reward value of 100,000 points is already very rich. What's going on with this man? Is his physical skills so good? Even my body's center of gravity is a little unbalanced. Boya Hancock looked at Kurosawa, who was leaving in a blink of an eye, feeling amazed in his heart. He is heading towards the center of the vibration. Is he looking for death? Of course she didn't know that with skills like heaven-defying six eyes and a natural fighter, Kurosawa's combat effectiveness can be said to be maintained at the highest level under any circumstances. And this is also the necessary quality to become a top powerhouse. Mihawk stared at Kurosawa. The first time Whitebeard made such a move, he wanted to know if Kurosawa would be affected. Now it seems Kurosawa's figure has begun to shuttle rapidly in this vibration. Others avoid this Whitebeard, but Kurosawa goes against the norm and takes the initiative to rush towards the most dangerous center of the vibration. Very good. No matter what the situation, you can maximize your combat power. Kurosawa, you should be able to compete with me soon. Mihawk's heavy eagle eye keeps shrinking, and he is already looking forward to the day when Kurosawa comes to challenge. So, who is your next target? The corner of Mihawk's mouth curled up. He was now very curious as to how far Kurosawa could achieve in this war. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 50,000 points of billion-level bounty value. With the help of Whitebeard's cover, the invisible slashes finally began to kill like crazy. Chapter 51 Great Harvest, The Power of the Domain. The field expands and the demon-suppressing chef is in charge. Swish, swish, swish. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 50,000 points of 100 million level bounty value. Domain. Demon Subduing Chef has been upgraded to LV4. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully killing Shi Yushin. Obtained a normal bounty value of 600 points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully killing Lien Ziyu. Obtained a normal bounty value of 400 points. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully killing Dajir. Obtaining a billion level bounty worth 10,000 points. Ding! Congratulations host. The echoes of destiny kept coming out in Kurosawa's mind. At this moment, he felt that the short-term forbearance before was very worth it. In this devastating blow from Whitebeard, ice, gravel, scraps of iron, stumps and other debris were all shaken and splattered everywhere on the battlefield. It also contains a terrifying power of shock. While its lethality is terrifying, it also completely obscures the sight of the battlefield. Only those with top-notch knowledge and domineering perception can understand the subtle changes on the battlefield through this level of energy fluctuations. But obviously, it is difficult for such a strong man to allocate his energy at this time and focus on Kurosawa, who looks like a ghost. The domain upgraded to level 4. The demon-subduing chef has created an invisible and borderless domain with Kurosawa as the center, and with the perfect blessing of the natural fighter. The bone shrine that must be embodied after performing the domain, subduing the demonic cook, does not need to be in place, which greatly increases the secrecy of Kurosawa's operation. Otherwise, even in such a chaotic situation, moving at high speed with a huge bone shrine will inevitably attract the attention of countless people. Swish, swish, swish. Wherever Kurosawa passed, all the pirates were instantly covered with bloodstains. Countless blood spurted out around Kurosawa, like a human-shaped flesh-cutting machine. Blood mist exploded everywhere, outlining an extremely bloody picture, a true blood-stained battlefield. With the perfect blessing of a natural fighter, Kurosawa was able to control the field of slashing without inadvertently injuring marine soldiers, nor did he use excess power to slash into useless ice blocks, the ground, and other places that were meaningless to him. And under special training, through the powerful perception of the heaven-defying six eyes, the power of the slash also varies from person to person, and all pirates are killed at the right time. The magic power is used perfectly, without any wastage. In just a few breaths, Kurosawa's normal bounty value has skyrocketed to 8,600 points. Rumble. Whitebeard's vibrating power overwhelmed everything, and the distance was too far. In the end, Mihawk was swallowed up by the energy wave before he could see Kurosawa's actions clearly. The other strong men are in a similar situation. When the energy fluctuations come, everyone uses their own means to resist, and there is no extra time to pay too much attention. The ground and ice cracked, and countless bottomless cracks spread across the entire battlefield. On the high execution platform, the body of warring states emitted the light of the precious elephant Buddha, which completely offset the fluctuations that spread to the execution platform. However, his complexion had become extremely ugly. Although the range of this attack is extremely large, Sengoku can notice that under Whitebeard's special control, most of the targets this attack can hit are Marines. Only the pirates charging at the forefront will be involved, but relatively speaking, Marines' damage is undoubtedly greater. Whitebeard looked a little tired after releasing this blow. The emptiness caused by the instant release of power in his body made him extremely unhappy, but the effect of this blow must be very significant. Whitebeard's face showed a smile. Most of the defense line that the Marines have worked so hard to build will be destroyed by this blow. Even the red magma that surrounded him before was now missing. This game of tricks, he won. Deep in the cracks in the earth somewhere, Sakazuki's body turned into lava. Although he used elementalization and domineering and other means to defend in time, his brain was still in a state of coma at the moment. Kaka. On the ice cubes condensed into Kuzan's body. It seemed that there was nothing serious except that his clothes were a little dirty. Buzz. In the sky, a figure emitting golden light slowly condensed. The clothes were still as neat as usual. Porosalino's mouth formed an O shape. Oh, it's so scary, Whitebeard, huh? It can be said that the Marine who was least affected by Whitebeard's move was undoubtedly Porosalino. With the power of the sparkling fruit, he fled the battlefield at the speed of light. Porosalino, who was sighing, suddenly discovered something. In that messy battlefield, a figure wearing a Marine uniform was actually heading towards the captains. Kurosawa-kun, that's really interesting. On the broken ice, Kurosawa flew quickly close to the ground. Along the way, he had killed all the pirates he could easily kill. Normal bounty value, 24,200 points. Billion level bounty value, 45,400 points. Are you 4 pirates with a bounty of over 100 million? Kurosawa's eyes flashed slightly, but thinking about it, those who charged in front must have some strength, but it's a pity that they encountered such an unreasonable person like Kurosawa. After all, no one can imagine that other than general-level combatants, who else could kill them in such a situation? Everyone is busy resisting the monstrous shock. Hoo-ho, is everyone okay? In the ruins, Marco's breathing was rapid, his wings shook the rocks off his body, and he looked at the captains and said, under the regeneration ability of the immortal flame, his body is still at full strength, but his physical strength has been greatly depleted after a short period of fighting with the general. On the other side, Beasta stood up straight with his body half stretched. He also spent a lot of energy. The surrounding rose sword energy slowly dissipated. Looking at the dusty and smoke-filled battlefield, Beasta showed a smile on his face. It's okay, but that's not necessarily the case for Marine. Dad's blow is enough to severely damage their vitality. Captain Kuriel of the 10th Division, who also participated in blocking the 2 generals, smiled slightly. That's natural, Dad is the strongest. Kuriel has a watermelon cap on his head and purple glasses. With his domineering guns, he can give Marco and others a powerful blow. Josie climbed up from the ice and gasped, Marine, it's our turn to fight back this time. After a fierce collision, the captains were clearly not in their peak condition. Captain Blenheim of the 9th Division put the knife on his shoulder, his chest heaving. Kuriel, your marksmanship is not bad. It was all thanks to you just now. Kuriel grinned when he heard this. At this moment, Marco's expression suddenly changed as he was about to speak. Immediately afterwards, the 2 top captains Beasta and Josie also noticed something was wrong. A creepy breath came quietly, and the 6 captains suddenly fell into hell at this moment. The endless indifference and blood seemed to swallow them completely, and even their blood would coagulate. In the smoke-filled place, light flashed in the blue eyes. The next moment, under the horrified gazes of the captains, a crack appeared in the middle of Marco's face. Chapter 52 Beheading, the absolute controller of the battle situation. Marco, Captain Marco. The captains shouted in horror, and saw a figure slowly walking out of the smoke. Kurosawa walked slowly with the famous sword, darkness, in his hand. He exuded a deep and mysterious aura, and in the eyes of everyone, he was like the messenger of hell walking in the world. Worship. The immortal flame burned and completely healed the wound caused by the slash on Marco's face. However, Marco would always remember the intense pain after experiencing it only once. A drop of cold sweat seeped out from Marco's back. It's that kid. Marco looked at Kurosawa walking out of the smoke with an ugly expression, his eyes flashed with deep fear. What's going on? This kid's move. What was that just now? A slash. Why didn't even I see it clearly? When the captains saw that Marco was okay, they all breathed a sigh of relief. Then they looked at Kurosawa, and the shock in their hearts could not stop rising. How did you get here? Beasta's eyes were cold, and the two swords in his hands collided and rubbed, creating a scorching aura. The next moment, he stepped out, and the burning flame rose sword energy burst out into brilliant sparks, piercing Kurosawa directly. Rose fireworks dance. The extremely powerful and domineering sword blade instantly set off a fierce aura on the field. The cracked ice surface quickly melted under the high-temperature sword wind, and the roses were more bright red than usual. As soon as it touches the target, the flame sword energy contained in it will instantly cause the most fatal damage to it. Except for Marco and Josie, the other three captains were a little surprised. The boss of the foil sword used such a powerful move right from the start. It seems that he is very angry. Marco's eyes were fixed on Kurosawa closely, and at the same time, his powerful cognizance color was activated, and he was bound to capture Kurosawa's every move. Through a series of previous battles, Marco judged that Kurosawa, a young sailor, could never use common sense to deal with it. Beasta used his powerful sword skills as soon as he came up, which was the most correct decision. Josie on the side sneered. Although he also believed that Kurosawa was very strong, he was still not able to take the flame slash from the foil sword Beasta. That overbearing damage is enough to destroy a warship. Facing Beasta's rapid advance, Kurosawa still walked slowly. After entering the demon-suppressing chef's domain just now, he gave Marco an invisible slash in front of his face, but the result was unsatisfactory. At that time, Kurosawa knew that even if the demon-suppressing chef had been upgraded to level 4, it would be impossible to deal with him with maximum single-target mana output in an instant. To deal with Marco, a user with the special ability to heal the Phantom Beast Fruit, the healing effect of upgrading the Cursed King must be reduced. But since Marco can't do it instantly, let's start with other people. With so many captains present, the first thing to ensure is that you will never be entangled in the attacks of any of them. Otherwise, what we will face next is to fall into the endless attack rhythm of the captains. Anyone who has played jungle knows that once you fall into the opponent's offensive rhythm, the outcome will be slow death. So, Kurosawa raised his head, light surging in his blue eyes, stretched out one hand, and the huge spell power mixed with armed domineering energy instantly condensed into a huge blue ball of light, heading towards Beasta's path. Thrust out sideways. The technique turns to Kang. As soon as he was born, the terrifying gravity from the sky spiraled into all the surrounding water, ice, and other debris. Even Beasta's speed suddenly slowed down. Kurosawa curled his lips and disappeared instantly. What? Blenheim was shocked. This speed. Kirill also failed to capture Kurosawa's whereabouts. For a gunner, losing the opponent's vision is the most dangerous passive state at any time. Faced with this situation, another captain who participated in the blocking of the general, Captain Bremank of the 6th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, had a pocket on his body. He took out his favorite wooden hammer from it, and his expression changed. Be serious. The next moment, Kurosawa's figure appeared above everyone, with two rays of red and blue light flashing alternately around him. The huge fluctuations emanating from it, coupled with the strange oppression in the realm of the demon-subduing chef, fell in everyone's eyes, like a judge in charge of life and death. It seems that Kurosawa alone can kill them all. Marco looked at this scene and quickly recalled the torture that he had felt not long ago when he was using the Shushi move, which was more painful than death. Red and blue light flash alternately. Could it be that move? Marco shouted hurriedly, Joes. Stop him. Yoshi. Boom. The previous cooperation of the captains does not need to be explained in detail. Almost the moment before Marco made a sound, Joes started to charge up his feet. He roared angrily, and his body rushed towards Kurosawa above like a cannonball. Kurosawa's expression in the air was indifferent. Josie's explosive speed was already the best on this battlefield, but it was a pity. Josie's speed is not fast enough to break Kurosawa's prediction in advance. Under the perception of heaven-defying 6 eyes, coupled with the natural fighter, Kurosawa has absolute control over the battle situation. Succeeded. Seeing that Josie was about to hit Kurosawa, the captains were already sure that the outcome of this attack would not fail. However, the next moment, whoa, Kurosawa's figure disappeared in the air again, and Josie missed him with one blow. He was so angry that he didn't have the teleportation ability like Kurosawa, so he just rushed out of the battlefield helplessly. Eliminate one more. Marco's face was filled with uncertainty, and many doubts kept flashing through his mind. Why is this guy able to move so fast continuously? And the red and blue light that just emitted, doesn't it have to be charged up? How can he actually interrupt it and escape? This is not scientific. Marco naturally didn't know that Kurosawa had just teleported to a high altitude and had no intention of releasing the virtual form. The purpose of pretending to mobilize the power of the spell was to trick Josie out of the battlefield. About 2 meters behind Marco, Kurosawa appeared, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. At this distance, Marco's kick could not directly hit Kurosawa immediately. At this time, Marco was still in shock, but after sensing the aura and murderous intent behind him, the soles of his feet quickly transformed into phoenix claws, and he kicked back with a high-level armed domineering force. You want to kill me so much? You doesn't take me seriously. The green and yellow claw flames with the strong wind quickly magnified in Kurosawa's eyes. From this distance, Kurosawa also had enough strength to mobilize, and used his full strength to display the sword style, Kang, Yidian. Just before joining the captains, Kurosawa had already injected 3,000 points of ordinary bounty value into Aikidoryu, Kang, and Yidian to upgrade it to LV3, and 2,000 billion level bounty value to upgrade physical skills and armed color hockey to LV5, while injecting with 16,000 ordinary bounty points and 2,000 billion level bounty points. Both the reversal spell and the unlimited spell have been upgraded to LV5. Chang. The dark red sword light and the green flame claws collided with each other. The terrifying domineering power and sharp sword energy shook the ice surface and cracked it. Marco was shocked when he felt the terrifying power from Kurosawa's sword. Although it was a hasty kick, it was enough to instantly suppress most strong men. But Kurosawa was able to withstand his pressure in a short period of time. Captain Marco, we are here to help you. At this time, the remaining 3 captains finally found an opportunity. Blenheim was holding a machete, and Bremank was wielding a giant hammer. The 2 of them rushed towards Kurosawa. Another captain, Kulil, who is good at gunnery, loaded the bullet and completed the aiming in an instant. He just had to pull the trigger and the domineering bullets stored in advance could be fired directly. Under such circumstances, Marco showed a victorious smile on his face. Boy, you do have great potential, but, do you want to kill me and become famous in one fell swoop? This will be the worst choice you make in your life. Qingyan's sharp claws exerted force, gradually suppressing Kurosawa, and at the same time tightly locked his, dark, to prevent him from breaking away. Pay the price for your arrogance. However, Marco did not see even a trace of panic on Kurosawa's face. An ominous premonition arose in Marco's heart. No, don't come over. Marco shouted anxiously. A smile appeared on Kurosawa's face. It's too late. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, Kuril's body was covered in bloodstains. Chapter 53 The Echo of Wealth, the reward value skyrocketed. Click, click, click. In just an instant, nearly 100 invisible slashes all fell on Kuril's body. His body suddenly became completely bloody, his vision was pitch black, and the finger that pulled the trigger broke instantly. The invisible slashes hit his body in all directions without blind spots. The watermelon-patterned cap on his head was shattered, and the purple glasses he wore exploded into countless fragments. The domineering bullets that he was still feeling distressed about just now, but now he has no chance to use them. The expression on Marco's face was extremely ferocious, and the bulging veins all over his body and the restless breath in his body all showed that he was in a rage at the moment. Blenheim and Bremank, who were rushing forward, also noticed something was wrong. When they looked back, they saw that their companion who was still alive just now had turned into a bloody man. Kulil, who, looking at the furious Marco, Blenheim and Bremank had a terrible guess in their minds. Could it be the sailor Kurosawa in front of me? Impossible. They were obviously keeping an eye on him, and Kuril was always in the safest position. How did Kurosawa get past the 2 of them and attack Kuril while fighting Marco? Marco was equally frightened and angry, but he quickly figured out, could it be that move just now? From the very beginning, an invisible slash cut across his face. That's the trick. If he hadn't been able to regenerate with immortal flames, he would probably have died. The captains looked at Kurosawa again. The latter's teeth were white, but the smile on his face looked so sinister. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully killing Kulil. Obtaining a 100 million level bounty worth 55,000 points. Ding! Congratulations to host for achieving the phased achievement reward unlocking conditions. The fall of the Whitebeard Captains 3/15. Reward: 100 million level bounty value plus 10,000 points. Oh, it was an unexpected surprise. The smile on Kurosawa's face became even wider. From the beginning to the end, from the moment he stepped into the range of the captains, his domain of subduing demons and cooking has never been closed. The difference from Laonuo is that under Kurosawa's control, he can freely choose the target to attack, as well as the size and accuracy of the spell output, etc. Although maintaining the domain will continue to bring huge consumption, it is obviously worth it. It only took less than 1 second to kill a captain who did not have the protection of domineering power, and he was still under the heavy pressure of Marco and other captains. Kuril didn't even have time to feel the pain before he was instantly wiped out by the demon-subduing chef's slash. You two, get back. Just leave him to me. As Marco shouted angrily, the immortal flames on his body burned more intensely, and the domineering energy on his claws became more and more fierce. This guy's moves are too weird. Use your domineering power to protect your vitals. As if he thought of something, Marco's mind suddenly stirred, and he quickly reminded him, but it was a pity that it was too late after all. After hearing this, Blenheim and Brahmank immediately released their armed hockey. However, Kurosawa controlled the demon-subduing cook's slashes at a much faster speed. Within the scope of the domain, the slashes would fall instantaneously due to his thoughts. Shua! A blood stain spread on Blenheim's neck, then expanded rapidly, and bright red blood spurted out instantly. The field of vision quickly became blurred. It takes time to mobilize the domineering force, and the intensity of the domineering energy gathered in a short period of time was not enough to withstand the cursed attack of the demon-suppressing chef. After breaking through the defense with one blow, Kurosawa mobilized his curse power more and more violently, and the blood spurting from Blenheim's neck finally outlined the shape of the invisible slash. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully killing Blenheim. Obtained a 100 million level bounty worth 56,500 points. Billion level bounty value: 126,900 points. This is an echo of fate. Listening to the extremely pleasant voice in his mind, Kurosawa felt relieved, and the billion level bounty value skyrocketed at an alarming rate. It's finally time to upgrade. Boom! On the battlefield at this time, the aftermath of Whitebeard's devastating blow finally slowly dissipated. The upper part of the battlefield was also able to become active again. You pay with your life. A scream broke the brief calm first. At this moment, both Marines and pirates looked at the place where the sound came from with some doubts. Everyone's eyes were turned to that area. I saw a big bird burning with blue flames spinning at high speed. With the terrifying physical strength and domineering blessing, it even formed a terrifying blue flame tornado. Beneath the blue flame tornado, a black-haired figure remained motionless. It's Kurosawa. Why did he appear there? Amidst the exclamations of many sailors, a gust of rose sword energy also attacked Kurosawa. It's Foil Beasta, Phoenix Marco. Why did Kurosawa face these two powerful captains at the same time? On the battlefield, in the center of countless explosion cracks, a burly figure stood there holding a broadsword. Even a layman could tell at a glance. The culprit behind this scene is this man. However, the scornful smile on this arrogant maritime overlord face suddenly froze when his eyes turned to somewhere. Although Kulil and Blenheim were covered in blood, Whitebeard still identified them through judgment. Looking at the smile on Kurosawa's face, the air around the Whitebeard gradually solidified. Live projection phone bug resumes at this time. Pictures of the Marinefando battlefield continued to be broadcast in real time to all parts of the world. Chapter 54 Kurosawa Poet holds. Kurosawa, why are you in that position? On the execution platform, Zheng Guo, who noticed the situation, suddenly looked extremely ugly. Facing the full attack of the two captains at the same time, even a general-level figure must be extremely cautious. Because they have reached the level of destructive power of Marco and Bista, it is easy to destroy a giant warship. If you are not careful, even the hardened high-grade weapon color will be penetrated by this level of attack. Kurosawa was a super new star who risked the dignity of Fleet Admiral and the majesty of Marine during the Warring States period. If Kurosawa fell into the hands of the captains, judging from the immediate impact, Kurosawa's death could easily cause a serious blow to Marines' morale despite the advantage they had finally established in this war. In the long run, it will also be a huge loss that the Warring States period does not want to see for Marines' future development and growth. "You kid, don't let it go like this," Sengoku murmured through gritted teeth. "The pacifists will join the battlefield in at most 1 minute. By then, the pirates will suffer the most serious blow since the war began." As long as Kurosawa can hold on for 1 more minute, Sengoku will be confident that he can win this war. Ace, who was kneeling aside, was equally puzzled. But after his father's move, why did Marco and Bista suddenly attack Kurosawa? Like Ace, most people on the battlefield were masked by Whitebeard's moves and had no idea that Kurosawa had just killed 2 captains of the Whitebeard pirates. But what Ace can be sure of is that Marco and Bista have obviously used their ultimate moves now. Faced with the joint attack of these two, even he in his heyday will have no choice but to die. Even if I could injure my father with an amazing attack at the beginning, the cost of such an attack would definitely be astonishing, and it would be impossible to do it again. So, this Colonel Marine is dead. Why is Kurosawa in that place? Huo Shaoshan scattered the dust on his hat, and at the same time he was also wary of Lakyo not far away. Huo Shaoshan was anxious and resentful now. If Whitebeard's attack hadn't affected the entire battlefield just now, he would have been able to free up his hands to help his most proud disciple. Although I only joined his training camp halfway, he was still the top seed in his second training camp. "Kurosawa, you can't die here, otherwise I won't have the face to face them. Especially when I think of Gion's instructions to take good care of Kurosawa. If he dies like this, I'm afraid he won't be able to live happily ever after." Miguel was squatting on the ground, his left arm was stained with blood, and blood was flowing from several wounds on his body. However, there was no fear on his face. On the contrary, he looked very proud. He looked at the black-haired figure with burning eyes. "Boss, I don't have the face of our training camp. If I haven't fallen down, you can't be 1 step ahead of me." In the smoke, a figure clenched his fist, Kurosawa. The justice in Garp's heart collided with the fetters of family, but he still chose to participate in this war. Guarding the execution platform and not allowing anyone to cross it was the best effort he could make. However, he will never allow Marine's future to be ruined so easily on this battlefield. Why are you so impulsive? The battle situation in that position is not something you can step into." Veins popped up on Garp's forehead. Finally, after a fierce battle between heaven and man in his mind, he made up his mind. "Boy, after this time, just stay at Marine for me." What did that fool? Is he looking for death? He actually found a captain-level figure again, and faced 2 at once. Moria looked at the terrifying blue flame tornado with a wicked smile on his face. "Even I can't take this move, so just die like this, Kurosawa. It's best to leave a body. I will make you my zombie soldier and let you wash Lousy's feet, hehehehe." Doflamingo shook the fire feather coat on his shoulders and said with interest, "Phew, foo-foo. Kurosawa, can you still cope with this situation? Is this hypocritical man going to die?" Boya Hancock frowned. She still hoped that Kurosawa would die just now. After being humiliated, she did not hope that Kurosawa would not die. "If he dies, it will be mine. The right thing is your feet. Young Marine genius, you can't just die here." Bartholomew Big Bear immediately analyzed the battlefield situation, and disappeared in the next second. The body protecting swords around Mihawk disappeared. He looked at Kurosawa and frowned slightly. "Whitebeard's captains, it's so shameless to attack a newcomer in front of me." Buzz. 8-foot mirror. High in the sky, Porosalino's figure turned into golden particles and quickly dissipated. At this time, all over the world. What's going on? Why hasn't the phone bug been repaired yet? Did any great changes occur on the battlefield? Look, The communication projection has been restored. What's going on? How come the earth and ice are cracked like this? Stupid pig, this is not the point. Look at that blue flame tornado and that sword energy. It's Whitebeard's captains Marco and Beasta. They are joining forces to attack Kurosawa. What's going on? Two captains actually teamed up to deal with a new marine star. This is so shameless. You idiot, who can tell you fairness in a war? On the giant tree in Sabayati, Rayleigh stroked his reading glasses and looked at the terrifying blue flame tornado on the screen. Based on his knowledge and experience, it is not difficult to judge that this move is a powerful move that can be used by perfectly combining physical skills and domineering. Marco, this brat, has grown up too. Rayleigh couldn't help but exclaim. The Marco that he could stop with one finger back then has become a thing of the past. If we face each other again, I'm afraid we will have to deal with it with all our strength. But what also surprised Rayleigh was that Marco and Beasta actually teamed up to deal with Kurosawa. For a proud and arrogant captain-level figure, even though he is a crew member, it is rare for him to join forces to fight against the enemy. That tyrant Bartholomew Bear is heading towards Kurosawa. Look at that. General Porosalino took action. Whitebeard moved to hold. What's going on? Kurosawa. On the battlefield of Marinafando, Kurosawa watched the two people approaching quickly without any panic at all. System, give me more. Ding. Congratulations, host. Chapter 55 Unrestricted Virtual Style Shing. The time has come. On the execution platform, the expression of Warring States, who had been paying attention to Whitebeard's movements, changed, and he couldn't help but cursed, Whitebeard. You. Ace. Dad. On the battlefield, a majestic black figure flashed rapidly, so fast that it was even faster than Kurosawa's L3 heaven-defying six-eyed teleportation. However, Bartholomew Bear, who was moving forward at such a speed, was blocked by a body that suddenly appeared in front of him. The mechanical eyes scanned quickly. Warning, warning, found a super dangerous person, Edward Newgate. It is recommended to activate the highest level ring. Bang, kakaka, white energy wrapped around Whitebeard's fist, and he punched Bartholomew Bear directly in the head. The terrifying power of vibration instantly cracked a large space crack. This speed. Bartholomew Big Bear only had time to have this thought flash through his mind, and his vision was immediately lost for a short time. Boom! The energy wave generated by Whitebeard's punch shook the ice surface into more fragments. At the same time, the huge impact also sent Bartholomew Bear, who came to support Kurosawa, flying to an unknown distance. A Shichibukai was knocked away with one blow. Whitebeard's figure did not pause, and turned to look at the golden light in the sky. A frightening light flows from a pair of eyes, and the aura exuding from the whole body is like a peerless ferocious beast. All Marines will involuntarily move away when they are about to meet that gaze, avoiding looking at it, as if just one look at it will lead to being targeted and pursued until death. Whoa! Boom! With a sound of boom, Whitebeard relied on the power of vibration and super-physical skills to turn his half-broken body into a stream of white light. The invincible instantaneous burst of speed was actually forceful. After catching up with Porosalino, who had already used the 8-foot mirror, finally stopped in front of Porosalino. The golden figure had a domineering perception, but facing Whitebeard, who burst out at such terrifying speed for the first time, even Porosalino couldn't help being shocked at this moment. However, Porosalino is worthy of being a Marine general. Even though he exceeded his expectations and predictions, his super combat reaction allowed him to immediately condense the Tiankongyan sword in front of him. The next moment, the exploding Kong Yunchi gathered shock and extraordinary domineering force and swung out the sword. Buzz, clang, ka-ka-ka-ka. The space shook and cracked, and the figure radiating golden light also twisted and deformed under this force. Boom! The terrifying shock wave formed a huge whale vortex and suddenly blew away Porosalino's figure, leaving only the figure that looked at the world proudly in the air. Ace looked at the man in shock. His mouth was stuck for a long time before he uttered two words. Dad. Sengoku's eyebrows kept twitching, and the burst of speed actually surpassed Kizaru. It's simply unbelievable. Whitebeard. Everyone who saw this scene was shocked. One punch makes a Shichibukai, one sword makes a Marine general. Is this the strongest man in the world? Rayleigh looked at that figure and recalled the battle between Whitebeard and Roger. The scene at that time could truly be called its peak. You can still explode at peak speed. To stop Marine from rescuing Kurosawa. On the battlefield, Whitebeard said nothing, but the anger in his eyes was self-evident. Don't ask why he doesn't attack Kurosawa directly when he has such speed. This is the dignity of a king and his trust in his sons. Whitebeard glanced in Kurosawa's direction. In his opinion, Kurosawa should also. Boom. Half a second ago. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 5,000 billion level bounty value. Heaven-defying 6 eyes upgraded to LV4. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully unlocking a new way of performing virtual style Xing. An unprecedented cold light suddenly erupted in the blue eyes. The heaven-defying 6 eyes upgraded to level 4, and their perception ability is no less than the level of foreseeing the future. And whether it is the use of magic power or the use of various abilities such as domineering, all have been greatly improved. It is like the whole person's spirit has been instantly sublimated and reached a whole new level. If it was said that Kurosawa was able to control the battle situation almost perfectly because he was a natural fighter, then now, even if he is not a natural fighter, his application of his abilities has reached the pinnacle. Of course, the improvement of the power of skills must not be discarded by natural fighters. The technique is reversed, Kang. The technique is reversed, he. Kurosawa smiled slightly, and 2 energy light balls, 1 blue and 1 red, condensed in an instant. Marco's face was shocked. This is it. You can't go wrong, it's that move. Beasta. In shock and anger, the power already fully mobilized in Marco's body was forced to reach a higher peak. The same is true for Beasta. His swords are trembling crazily. This overloaded attack has exceeded the limit of his domineering strength. It will definitely cause serious damage to his swords after being used. But at this moment, he can no longer care about it. So many. The terrifying purple light produced by the collision of 2 rays of light, 1 blue and 1 red, formed a deep purple tunnel after crushing it, which could even injure Dad. Once this level of power is used by Kurosawa, it is very likely that he and Marco can join forces. Don't let this happen. The forward movement of his move is very large, so he can still do it. Thoughts flashed through their minds quickly, but the eyes of Beasta and Marco both froze in the next moment. It was completely different from what they expected. 2 light balls, 1 blue and 1 red, collided and superimposed the moment they appeared. Dots of shining purple light were like countless stars in the Milky Way, surging and spiraling out in an inexplicable whirlpool. Could it be that he wants to drag us to death together? Beasta was shocked. Isn't this guy afraid of getting himself involved too? But Lousy has the fire of immortality and cannot die. Marco is certain in his heart. At this moment, Marco and Beasta both wanted to know what was going on in Kurosawa's mind, but what they saw next. It was the unruly smile on Kurosawa's face at this moment. Under the purple light, that smile was deeply imprinted in the hearts of Marco and Beasta, like the mark of an evil ghost, crazy and indelible. Kurosawa vomited softly in his mouth. Unlimited virtual style C. The next moment, infinite purple light lit up the battlefield, and the expressions of Marco and Beasta were completely covered. The imaginary mass generated by the superposition and collision of the hidden dark curse creates the ultimate destructive force, just like a mother mine of destruction bursting open again in Malinfando. Boom. Ding. Congratulations to host. Chapter 56. In other words, Kurosawa won. Boom. The astonishing purple wave completely engulfed Marco and Beasta, and countless people's eyes focused on the battlefield. What happened? Is this? Kurosawa did it. You Marine. You gave Captain Marco and Captain Beasta to you. It's a complete suicide attack. Wouldn't Colonel Kurosawa be so glorious? The terrifying purple light exploded, and wherever the deep purple light reached, all the ice and gravel melted instantly, which clearly shows the horror of its destructive power. Bremenk, who was lucky enough to escape, opened his mouth. He just saw clearly that a fine quality sharp blade melted into scrap metal the moment it was affected by the purple energy. Marco and Beasta should be fine. This kid. On a pothole in the distance, Josie was climbing up and saw this scene. He has extremely high defense and has his own unique way of judging various types of damage. Even if my armor color hockey hardening is fully activated, it can't withstand the damage of this move. At least I have to use diamond hardening. On the execution platform, you fools, the Whitebeard pirates. Seeing this, Sengoku couldn't help shouting. In his opinion, although killing Marco and Beasta is valuable, compared to Kurosawa, who has unlimited growth potential, it is best for Marine if the latter can thrive. Development. Ace, who was kneeling aside, looked ugly. You can actually fight like this with Marco and Beasta. But he should still be alive. Garp's face turned a little dark, and he clenched his fists in confusion. Kurosawa's weakest skill should be physical skills, but he still resorted to such a suicidal attack. Why? Mihawk frowned slightly, a pair of double-eyed eyes staring at the exploding purple light. Is this the end of it for you? Kurosawa. Hehehehe. Kurosawa. He is finally dead. But from the looks of it, there should be no bones left. Moria spread his hands and licked his lips with his blood-red tongue. It's a pity that I can't make you into a zombie soldier. Fufu. Interesting. Doflamingo put his hands in his pockets, glanced at Moria dangerously under his pink sunglasses, and quietly curved the corners of his mouth in a mocking arc. The invisible control line arranged by the power of his thread fruit has blocked Moria's surroundings, but the latter is still unaware of it. Are you dead? It saves me trouble. Boya Hancock continued with a haughty look. Sure enough, only Luffy is the most special man. In front of the real-time broadcast screens around the world, countless people watched this scene and talked about it. Is this dead? But being able to kill the two captains of Whitebeard is already a huge profit. On the giant tree in Sabayati, Rayleigh narrowed his eyes. His intuition told him that Kurosawa would not be such a stupid person. Although the situation just now was extremely critical, it should not have reached such a desperate situation. Marine of the new era, how on earth are you? Rayleigh's pupils suddenly shrank as she stared at the screen, with an incredible look in her eyes. On the battlefield of Marinefando, the dazzling purple light gradually dissipated. Ding! Congratulations to host for using unlimited virtual style for the first time. Reward: 8. Hidao Pulse LV3. 8 Hidao Pulse, as the name suggests, is actually like the inversion of the Prison Master's technique He and Lao Nuo's 8 combined with the swordsmanship. It is similar to a combination of sword style, blue, and 1 flash. Its power is extremely powerful. Hard to imagine. Hoo ho ho. In an ice pit, a figure burning with blue immortal flames was breathing heavily. Under the pair of huge immortal wings was the ferocious-looking Beasta. At this time, both Marco and Beasta had a large amount of purple energy attached to their bodies, and the extremely evil power of curse pain was constantly destroying their bodies. The 200% pain from the King of Curses was added to the natural fighter. Next, it is eating away at their willpower crazily. The wound heals extremely slowly. Phew, this guy's ability is too tricky. Cold sweat continued to break out on Marco's forehead. In order to protect Beasta, he had just endured most of the damage from the instant unlimited void style. Beasta looked at the two swords in his hands with regret, as if he were looking at an old friend who was leaving. The double swords that had accompanied him in the New World for many years were now covered in purple, and the damage was beyond his imagination. In just a few more uses, they would fall apart. But our attack should have worked. That guy will die. Beasta's expression suddenly froze, and as the purple light dissipated, a black-haired figure slowly appeared. Ah, what a delightful battle. Kurosawa had a contented smile on his face. The wounds on his body caused by Marco and Beasta had been healed by the level 5 reversal technique. Except for some damage to his marine uniform, his overall condition still seemed to be in extremely good condition. Excellent level. Marco's eyes twitched. How is it possible? Beasta roared in a trembling voice, you should be dead if you eat Marco and I's fatal poison. Why do you seem to be fine? Seeing the two people's confusion, Kurosawa did not explain, they would never know. Compared to the prison master, his unlimited, virtual, and stamina will not cause any harm to himself, so even if he is at the center of the explosion, he will not accidentally injure himself due to his own moves. The reason why Kurosawa's clothes were in tatters was entirely due to the attacks by Beasta and Marco. In fact, due to unlimited, virtual style, and Shing, the attacks of Marco and Beasta were greatly offset, and they also had level 5 unlimited spells. If Kurosawa hadn't taken the initiative to attack them, if it is lifted, it will not be able to harm the latter at all. It's just that for that plan, Kurosawa did release the unlimited technique, and then relied on the strength brought by the level 5 armed color hockey and the level 5 taijutsu to resist part of the damage. This made the clothes look a little tattered. Anyway, the attacks of these two people were weakened and they were no longer able to instantly kill Kurosawa. It was easy to rely on the LV5 reversal technique to restore some minor injuries to the body. So currently, with the huge magical power of LV4's heaven-defying six eyes, the spiritual blessing, and the domineering reserves of LV4 Conqueror's Haki, Kurosawa's current combat power is still at its peak. On the battlefield, countless Marines looked at this scene with shocked expressions. Some were surprised and some were unwilling. Miguel looked at that energetic figure, and the admiration in his eyes was already flowing like a torrent of water. He is indeed the strongest boss. What an amazing little kid, he was able to survive unscathed in that situation. The corner of Huo Shaoshan's mouth couldn't suppress it anymore, although I don't know what happened, but compared to the embarrassment of the captains of the Whitebeard Team 1 and the 5th team, Kurosawa is still in a state of high fighting spirit. Quote, in other words, this duel. Kurosawa won. Chapter 71. The words of the volcanic stone were like the hammer of the presiding judge in the court, giving the final word. Did Kurosawa win? Kurosawa won. Countless Marines showed the joy of victory one after another, defeating two captains one-on-one. Such a powerful being comparable to a general is their new Marine star. At this moment, even Five Elders, a world-class critic from far away in Mariajoya, couldn't help but sigh. If it had been Kurosawa instead of Rob Lucci who joined Marine back then, everyone on the sea would have to lower their arrogant heads when they see Marine now. On the giant tree in Sabayati, Pluton Rayleigh, the former deputy of One Piece, looked at this scene and said bluntly, if Kurosawa had been born that year instead of Garp, I'm afraid Captain Roger would not have arrived at the final island, but at the final destination. On the execution platform, Warring States couldn't help laughing. I don't think you can, Whitebeard, how can you win this war? Ace's face looked petrified. Marco and Beasta teamed up, and lost. Garp's face changed from a dark look in the last second to tears of laughter. Quack, quack. Boy, you did a great job. Moria was stunned. Bagana. Foo. It's so powerful. Doflamingo laughed, not forgetting to tighten the invisible control line wrapped around Moria. Mihawk smiled slightly. Very good, you already have a place among the strongest in the world, Kurosawa. He's not dead. This man. Boya Hancock's pupils kept shrinking, and he actually saved the day in that situation, just like Luffy. Compared to Marine's excitement, the pirates were even more depressed. Seeing this scene, Whitebeard's eyes were bloodshot. Faced with the siege of Marco and Beasta, that kid, could he still do this? Alas, as a coach, you can't look around. A voice sounded beside Whitebeard, and the biting chill that swept through his body instantly made the alarm bell in his heart tremble. The owner of this voice could definitely threaten his life. Thoughts flashed through his mind rapidly. Whitebeard took a sharp breath, forcing his already overloaded body to work again after the full burst of speed. It's a pity that the biting chill that swept through his body was not a feeling, but the real extreme ice. Freeze moment. Fang. Kuzan mouthed something cold, and a ray of ice blue light spread rapidly from the center of his palm, covering Whitebeard's entire body in an instant. In an instant, his body below the waist was covered with a thick layer of frost. Whitebeard struggled to mobilize his strength to turn his upper body, but the ice that quickly swept through his body was able to imprison the power, completely suppressing the force that was forcibly mobilized in his body. The next second, in Whitebeard's frightened and angry eyes, his body was completely frozen. General Kuzan. Dad, the Marines exclaimed in surprise, while the pirates looked horrified. Marco and Beasta were just defeated by Kurosawa, and now Kuzan has frozen Whitebeard again. The outcome of this war seems to be decided at this moment. Marco and Beasta were equally anxious. They stood up and endured the severe pain to go to rescue Whitebeard. However, a figure crossed in front of them. Kurosawa held darkness in his hand and exuded infinite murderous intent. His blue eyes were dancing with excitement at this moment. Whitebeard is frozen, a once-in-a-lifetime reward of 500,000 points. The defeated general still wants to save people. The corners of Kurosawa's mouth curled up, and the powerful perception of his heaven-defying six eyes was overloaded at this moment. He was bound to fully understand the ever-changing battle situation to ensure that his plan could be realized perfectly. At this time, countless people all over the world are staring at the screen tightly, for fear of missing any detail, and even forget to breathe because of it. Rayleigh also had a stern look. "Whitebeard, are you going to fall down like this?" On the execution platform, Warring States looked ecstatic after seeing Whitebeard's frozen back. Due to the forceful blocking of Bartholomew Bear and Porosalino's reinforcements, Whitebeard's combat power declined for a short period of time. Kuzan has obviously seized this opportunity now. Now is the time to kill Whitebeard. Ace roared when he saw this, his eyeballs filled with scarlet blood. "Dad!" For the last hit, the opponent was Whitebeard, the famous Sea Emperor. Of course, Kuzan went all out. Ice Saber. The blade of extreme cold is condensed in the hand, and the sharp chill emitted from it can easily cut through even the hardened defense of high-grade armed colors. Kuzan moved quickly, with the extremely cold blade in his hand surrounded by domineering force, and he was about to stab the Whitebeard that was frozen into an ice sculpture. Diamond Shine charges to the end. Boom. Ah! Under the attention of the world, a body covered with diamonds slammed into Kuzan's side. The huge and terrifying force even sent ripples out of the air. Kuzan's attack was interrupted, blood spit out from his mouth, and even the ice saber was broken off. Kuzan secretly thought that it was a pity. He had been concentrating just now because he wanted to take a gamble and kill Whitebeard before Josie's attack arrived. After all, there are not many such opportunities, but it is a pity that it failed. Chowzi's speed exceeded his expectation. Captain Joe's. The pirates were surprised and happy. Fortunately, Kuzan's attack was stopped by Josie in time, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Zhang Guo gritted his teeth, feeling extremely sorry for such a result and losing such an opportunity. Later. No, there is still a chance. Crack, click, countless cracks spread rapidly from the inside to the outside of the Whitebeard ice sculpture, and then it was about to explode. At this moment, the ice was suddenly illuminated by a red light. Chowzi was shocked when he saw this, and he hurriedly moved to stop Whitebeard, but a voice sounded beside him, and his expression froze. Reciprocity is a courtesy. Kuzan, who had just been sent flying by a single blow, unexpectedly came to Josie's side at some point. The light of ice flashed away, and Josie's body was instantly frozen. Captain Joe's. What is that? Rumble. Boom. The crimson power surged from under the ice, even causing huge vibrations. Amid everyone's exclamations, Whitebeard's power of vibration finally exploded the ice sculpture and broke out of the ice. Boom. Whitebeard's eyes burst out as he broke out of the ice, and the milky white vibration energy in his hand condensed crazily. But the moment he broke out of the ice, the terrifying magma red lotus burst through from under the ice. The moment the extreme high temperature appeared on the battlefield, countless ice cubes melted. Even Whitebeard's cold body that had just broken through the ice was sweating from the heat. Dark Hound. The next moment, the redness in Whitebeard's eyes rapidly magnified, as if molten lava that could melt everything penetrated straight into his chest. The whole world seemed to be on mute at this moment, only Kurosawa's eyes showed excitement. Bang! The terrifying power penetrated Whitebeard's chest, and for a moment it was so powerful that it was unbearable for him and he half knelt on the ground. Sakazuki's voice sounded slowly. Whitebeard. The crow's feet at the corners of Sakazuki's eyes were wrinkled together, but it did not affect the smile on his face in the slightest. Now, who is the challenger? Well, Gulu Gulu. The terrifying red magma surged crazily in Whitebeard's chest, and the scorching high temperature was instantly transmitted to all parts of Whitebeard's body. Important organs, etc., had it not been for the powerful domineering power that reduced a lot of damage. Whitebeard's vitality may have been completely destroyed under this punch. Well done, General Sakazuki. Whitebeard pirates, meet your doomsday. On the execution platform, Warring States looked ecstatic. At the same time, Warring States also noticed that pacifists had already arrived. Very good, let's annihilate all of Whitebeard's main force in one go. Ace, who was standing next to him, looked extremely ugly and said with trembling lips, "Impossible. Dad, you are the strongest. Dad, this magma." Amidst the angry and frightened roars of the pirates, sounds pierced the air one after another. Boom. Boom. In the distance, a huge pacifist condensed light waves in his mouth and suddenly fired them. In an instant, he formed an overwhelming network of laser firepower and poured down on the area where the pirates were. Boom, 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 boom. A large number of pirates were completely engulfed by this laser firepower network before they even had time to react. Ah! The screams kept ringing out, and then they were quickly drowned in the destructive explosion. The coach had just been fatally injured, and now he was suddenly attacked by pacifists arranged by Marine in advance. In an instant, the morale of the Whitebeard pirates fell to the bottom. On a battlefield, Marco's body was burning with blue flames, and his body erupted with extremely amazing speed and power, defeating Kurosawa. "Dad, you, get out of my way." As he spoke, Marco kicked out hard again. With that powerful force and the blessing of the high-level armed color domineering, one kick could explode huge pits and cracks on the ice. "You seem to be in a hurry." With a smile on his face, Kurosawa looked at Marco, who was attacking him crazily, and his figure moved quickly. If the latter's attack was not intentional, he would not even be able to touch him. Kurosawa, who has upgraded to LV4 Heaven-defying 6 eyes, can be said to have the ability to surpass him in terms of speed on this battlefield, but it's just a matter of one hand. If Kurosawa wants to, with his heaven-defying 6 eyes, no one can hurt him. But if you don't sell some flaws, how can the cunning prey easily succeed? The heaven-defying 6 eyes perception is like a super-wide radar, and under Kurosawa's special control, more energy is dispersed to cover the area where Whitebeard is. Just as Kurosawa expected, after Whitebeard suffered Sakazuki's punch, his already seriously ill body began to decline rapidly, and all physical functions and vitality began to decline crazily. But, even in this state, Whitebeard still has extremely terrifying ability to fight back before death. Boom! There was a flash of red light, and another instant reversal of the spell hit Marco's green flame claws, causing an astonishing explosion. The violent wind of the explosion made Kurosawa's cloak flutter. Kurosawa's expression remained unchanged. He took this opportunity to sense Beasta and Brahmank, and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. "Very good, I'll finish you off first, and then I'll hide away for the time being." Hoo. Dad. Beasta breathed heavily, looking extremely worried. "After receiving a lava punch like Sakazuki's, I'm afraid my father's current body." Gulu. The red energy continued to rise. Sakazuki looked at his punch with satisfaction. His domineering spirit was also not weak. Under his perception, the power in Whitebeard's body was rapidly declining, and the vitality was already here. Destroyed most of them with one punch. Victory is at hand. Sakazuki, who was covered in blood, had a smile on his face at this moment. He was the closest to Whitebeard, and he directly took Whitebeard's blow that affected the entire battlefield. At that distance, even with his powerful physique, they almost made him lose consciousness. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and chose an excellent strategy to hide under the ice. But even so, his body also suffered extremely huge damage, which made it difficult for him to use his peak strength for a while. Otherwise, just this punch should make Whitebeard die on the spot. But it doesn't matter. If you add another punch, the result will be the same. Die Whitebeard. The magma energy in Sakazuki's body rioted. Under his full power, the red power in his body surged again, and he was about to give Whitebeard a fatal blow. It was at this time that Sakazuki's Shiba-Chi clearly sensed that the aura belonging to Whitebeard, that is, the vitality in the latter's body, actually began to miraculously recover. "This is impossible." Sakazuki was shocked and was about to speed up his movements, but he saw in his eyes that Whitebeard's dilated pupils actually shone again, and a big hand quickly enlarged in Sakazuki's eyes. She. The milky white light seemed to have gravity, waving heavily on Sakazuki's head. Kaka. Pieces of cracks spread rapidly around Whitebeard's fist, until it completely enveloped Sakazuki's body. Rumble. In the entire space, distortions visible to the naked eye began to occur. Under the horrified gaze of countless people, Whitebeard, who was supposed to be destroyed, actually struck out that devastating blow again. Sakazuki. Kuzan's face was solemn, and almost his whole body was covered with ice. His body turned into a ray of ice blue light and flashed towards Whitebeard. At the same time, in front of him, there was a layer of faster extreme cold power spreading out. The next second, boom, terrifying shocks once again shook the historic Marine headquarters, and the land of Marinefando was once again shaken because of that man. Almost at the same time, Outside of Malinfando, looking at the violently undulating sea surface, someone noticed something unusual. Look at the sky. What is that? A ship, a huge warship, with the help of Jinbei's full force of the ocean currents, crashed into the center of Marinavando's battlefield at high speed with the force of an arrow that penetrated the earth. Boom. After Whitebeard's shocking counterattack, the Straw Hat Ultimate Rescue Team arrived early. Boom boom boom. At this time, a terrifying shock spread out, knocking Luffy and his group off their backs. Kurosawa frowned when he saw this situation. What's going on? According to the original timeline, the Straw Hat Rescue Team will have at least more than an hour to get here, right? Suddenly, Kurosawa wanted to understand. If nothing unexpected happened, it must have been affected by the fluctuation of the world's rules. Forget it, it doesn't matter anyway. Whitebeard has been severely damaged, and the time for harvest has arrived. Thinking of this, Kurosawa looked at the three people in front of him with a smile on his lips. Bramank, you're still smiling even when you're about to die. His power should be almost exhausted. Strike him with all your strength and kill him, then rescue Dad. Through Kurosawa's constant dodging and being kicked by him from time to time, Marco had already determined that Kurosawa was in poor condition. As he spoke, Marco used the high-speed rotation of his wings and powerful physical skills to turn into a blue fireball, spiraling towards Kurosawa. This time, he was bound to kill Kurosawa. By then, through Dad's counterattack and killing Kurosawa, the biggest leader of Marine's advantage, the situation of the war will be reversed again. Qingyanyan. Beasta also used powerful sword skills, flying almost close to the ground and slashing towards Kurosawa quickly. Even before Beasta's body could reach him, the sharp rose had already pierced Kurosawa's unlimited spell range. Above Marco and Beasta, a fat figure held a giant hammer high and swung it heavily. It's all because of you, you. Just die like this. Looking at the three people approaching quickly, Kurosawa had already made a decision in his heart. He saw the dark blade in his hand entangled with wisps of dark curse power, and he opened and closed his mouth. Mysterious truth, open. It seems like the dark fire from another space is beating on the dark blade, just like the long-lost evil ghosts from hell cheering for joy after coming to the human world. After greedily breathing in the breath of the human world, they burn more fiercely because of the excitement. For a moment, everyone on the field suddenly felt that something was not good, especially Marco. At this time, Kurosawa fell into his perception, like a butcher from hell. The way he looked at them was to look at the slaughtered lamb. Flame. Beasta's pupils shrank, but unlike the high-temperature flames produced by ordinary sword energy friction, the flames on the Kurosawa sword gave him a very different feeling from the flames he had seen before. Rather than saying it is a flame, it is more like an evil killing force, but its appearance is similar to that of a flame. Because even if the dark flame on the knife has not fallen on the body, it will give people an unusual sense of fear. But no matter how you pretend, you have reached your limit. You sailor, die. The attacks of the three captains were about to fall. Kurosawa's eyes gradually became crazy, and the darkness in his hand was slashed out with one strike. Fang. In an instant, it was as if the dark red Madara pattern on the dark blade came to life, turning into circles of dark flames like fire snakes, surrounding Kurosawa and flying out. The pupils of the three Marcos were quickly completely occupied by this dark red color, and they were completely swallowed up in an instant. Relying on the heaven-defying six eyes of level 4, Kurosawa can also combine the armed haki and kendo of level 5 with the secret kai to a certain extent. The power that emerges is also extremely unimaginable. This is enveloped by the dark red Madara flame circle. The terrifying curse tore Marco's wings into holes. With Marco bearing most of the pressure, Beasta could also use the rose sword energy to survive in a short time, unscathed inside. But the other captain was not lucky. Bramank's physical skills and domineering skills are much inferior to those of Marco and Beasta. Under this kind of ranged curse attack, his response methods are obviously much different. Facing such a range of mystical kai, Bramank could only swing his giant hammer and dance wildly, forming a hammer wind shield around him. At the same time, he actually opened many dark holes on his body. This is the use of his bag fruit ability. He can use his body as a bag, sacrificing the function of storing items, and instead absorb part of the attack into it, reducing his own damage. But the damage absorbed is naturally limited, and Kurosawa's move has exceeded the limit of Brahmank's ability. Chang! A dark red curse slash hit Brahmank's hammerwind shield hard, causing his arms to shake violently, followed immediately by several more curse slashes. Click to overlay. Under the heavy pressure, Brahmank could no longer bear it. The big wooden hammer broke with an explosion like a tree being ignited by flames. Blood spit out from his mouth. He was powerless and could only watch with horrified eyes. The dark red fire snake with Madara pattern showed its destructive fangs towards him and bit him in the chest. Shua! Aha! The open wound caused by the slash was extremely painful, not to mention the strange magical power that turned into flames. When the pain of the cursed king was doubled, Brahmank rolled his eyes. The torn pockets on his body could have allowed him to withstand 2 more attacks from the cursed fire snakes. However, after losing consciousness, his body was torn apart almost instantly. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing Brahmank. Obtaining a billion level bounty worth 67,800 points. In the flames of the dark red Madara pattern, countless sword energy mixed with curses and slashes poured madly on Marco, like a fluttering firebird in a roasting cage. The author of this masterpiece, Kurosawa, listened to the sweet voice in his head, and the smile on his face became brighter. Pong! Beasta's figure appeared in front of Kurosawa. With Marco's cover and the sacrifice of another captain, he finally broke through the blockade of Yuji Kai. At this time, Beasta felt heavy in his heart. It was hard to imagine that this sailor's moves were simply weird, but they were extremely powerful, and his physical strength seemed to be inexhaustible. His combat power has been maintained from the beginning to now, to a very high standard. Simply a monster among monsters. Beasta would rather face the general than be Kurosawa's opponent at this time. The same thought was in Marco's mind. The strange energy not only slowed down his regeneration, but also caused him to endure unimaginable pain. It feels like none of the battles I have fought in my life have been as painful as the fight against Kurosawa today. Chang! The 2 swords struck the dark blade, and the rose sword energy entwined on it tore Kurosawa's clothes to pieces, and drops of blood flew out. A smile finally appeared on Beasta's face. At the same time, Marl's phoenix transformed from science fiction came over and struck Kurosawa heavily with a powerful claw. It's over. Thanks to the combined efforts of Marco and Beasta, Kurosawa was slammed into the ice by this force. The violent force raged on the latter's body, and he fell into the sea after breaking through an unknown amount of ice. At this time, on the battlefield of Malinfando, General Sakazuki. That Whitebeard has been shot through the chest, but he still has such terrifying power. How is Kurosawa? The dark red flames dissipated, and in the eyes of everyone's concern, the picture of Kurosawa still standing in their imagination did not appear. The only ones still standing on the remaining ice were the panting Marco and Beasta. Impossible. Kurosawa, is it possible? Under the nervous gaze of countless sailors, Marco endured the severe pain and responded to everyone with a calm expression. Yes, Kurosawa has been killed by me. Quote. Colonel Kurosawa is dead. How is this possible? Many Marines were in disbelief. Whitebeard counterattacked and severely wounded the general. The captains also killed Kurosawa. Unknowingly, the Marines lost their belief in victory and their morale began to decline rapidly. The power of the shock slowly dissipated, and Whitebeard looked in Marco's direction and laughed. Gu Lala, well done. On the execution platform, warring states looked extremely gloomy. How so? Obviously just now, Whitebeard has been severely injured, the captains were unexpectedly suppressed by Kurosawa, and the pacifists have also arrived. Everything is in a good situation for Marine. How come it was reversed in an instant? And why is that Garp's grandson here? He is accompanied by 2 Shichibukai warriors. Subsequently, the Straw Hat rescue team also started taking action. With the help of this unexpected force from the sky, the ordinary pirates who were originally going to be crushed by the pacifists finally had the strength to fight and were not massacred unilaterally. The pirate fleet under Whitebeard finally got closer, and also started the landing operation. Straw Hat Luffy has emerged on this top battlefield with his powerful protagonist aura. With the help of people from all walks of life, he has brought great trouble to Marine. Boya Hancock hugged his cheeks and looked at Luffy with eyes that seemed to be dripping with water. He is indeed Luffy. Whitebeard gasped violently, his eyes watching Luffy continuously break through the defense line that even he could not break through, and he was getting closer and closer to the execution platform. He finally made up his mind. Everyone, this is my captain's order. Cover Straw Hat Luffy and rescue Ace. Quote. After a short silence, the pirates let out startling shouts one after another. Not just because Luffy shouted, "I'm Ace's younger brother." The captains also saw Straw Hat Luffy's amazing potential and began to cover him on his way to the execution platform. The old man who is half lying in the coffin is unable to save his son, so he can only place his hope on others. Sakazuki walked forward step by step, with red magma flowing from his body covered in blood. Seeing this, Marco smiled ferociously, turned into a ray of green flame and flew towards Sakazuki. "You should stay out of your family's affairs." Sakazuki chuckled, "Am I wrong? The remnants of the era. I will end the era of pirates." Boom! The red magma collided with Marco, but the latter retreated step by step. The light in Whitebeard's eyes surged, and he felt the vitality that was constantly passing away from his body. He made up his mind, his eyes showed absolute determination, and he shouted in front of the whole world. "One Piece. It's real." The next moment, dark red thunder exploded in the sky, and a figure fell to the ground at an unimaginable speed. His blue eyes flashed with divine light, and Kurosawa slashed out with a dark sword in his hand. Chang! Dark red bursts, Conqueror's domineering power instantly sweeps the entire audience. Under the shocked gaze of countless people, the sky cracked. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully using Conqueror's domineering coil for the first time. Reward: Dark God Avoidance LV1. What did Whitebeard just say? Is One Piece real? It's not important. Look at the sky. What is that? Whitebeard, who originally thought that after saying these words would shock the world, was the first to notice something was wrong in the sky. He suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky. An extremely powerful Conqueror's domineering energy turned into substantial black lightning, winding around the dark blade like a thunder snake. The light flashed in Kurosawa's blue eyes like a god of war descending from the sky, wherever the blade passed. The air trembles and twists. The dark red overlord divine blade thunder snake kept circling and biting, almost condensing into a black hole that seemed to be able to swallow everything. The next second, it flashed to the top of Whitebeard's head. Dark God avoids. This is. Seeing the approaching destruction in the sky, the exploding black lightning, Whitebeard's thoughts were brought back to the battlefield decades ago for a moment. That man, Gall D. Roger's move, God's Avoidance. The power of this move is exactly the same as the divine evasion that Roger used back then, but it seems that the level of mystery of this move in front of him is even better than the latter. Whitebeard couldn't help but be shocked when this idea came to his mind. Then, he didn't feel afraid, but the blood in his body boiled instantly. This feeling, Bulala. The long-lost Conqueror's domineering collision, under the high-pressure stimulation of the unparalleled domineering power in the world, the fighting will in Whitebeard's body was completely awakened, and he actually regained a little bit of the feeling of the past in this damaged old body. Boy! The muscles of the tall body bulged out, and several black thunders exploded and flashed around the body. The ground under his feet could no longer bear this sudden burst of power, breaking into large cracks like spider webs. Whitebeard grinned, condensing terrifying power on Kong Yunchi, and slashed out towards Kurosawa falling in the sky. Buzz! The sharp blade of the dark flame collided with Kong Yunchi in the air. At the center of the blade clash, the peak dominance from Kurosawa and Whitebeard were entangled and fighting at this moment. Countless black thunder and lightning surged out in an instant and swept out in all directions. The destructive power contained in them was as if even the air was being compressed and annihilated, and the surrounding area became a vacuum zone. Conqueror's domineering power suddenly spread out, and a large number of sailors and pirates fainted under the excitement of this power. There was no way to watch such a scene of top power showdown again. The live projection of the phone bug was also interrupted. On the high execution platform, Warring States looked surprised and happy. The shining dark red light reflected his face in a dark red even from a distance. This kid is indeed alive. But this is Conqueror's domineering entanglement. Is it so powerful? You kid, you're making a fool of yourself. Garp's open-mouthed boss was almost the same as when he just saw Luffy land on the battlefield. Kurosawa's stance and the power of the collision were just like what Roger used back then, as if from the same source. But, not to mention Roger at his age, even Roger at his peak. In terms of skills, it seems that he is inferior to Kurosawa. As a man who has chased Roger across countless sea areas, Garp can be said to know Roger's moves very well, and the gold content of his words is undoubted. Ace and the captains of the Whitebeard pirates were so shocked by this scene that they could not speak. Many captains could not help but think of that day when Shanks, who was also the Emperor of the Sea, met his father. That slash that tore the sky apart. A drop of cold sweat fell from Marco's forehead, and he said in a dazed state, "This guy is not dead. We obviously saw him being blasted into the sea by us. Why? That guy is the sailor who hurt my comrades that day." Straw Hat Luffy looked at the black-haired figure, and his mind suddenly recalled the day when he was knocked to the ground with one punch. Ah, what a strong force. Even from a long distance away, Straw Hat Luffy could feel the fierceness of that move. If this move had been used against him, his body would probably have been wiped out. Did he do it on purpose? This idea couldn't help but be planted in Straw Hat Luffy's mind. There is no way. Judging from Kurosawa's current performance, trying to kill the Straw Hats in Sabayati is no different than killing a chicken. Gu la la la. Boy, face me directly, are you ready to wake up? The terrifying power was continuously released, and the black lightning snake spiraled into a terrifying domineering black hole above Whitebeard's head, frantically attacking Whitebeard's counterattack. However, Whitebeard still laughed, even if Kurosawa's outpouring power tore through his defenses and penetrated into his body from time to time, it never gave him the slightest intention of retreating. The old era that is half buried in the ground, capsize here today. The new world does not have a ship to carry you. Kurosawa's hands kept feeling numb, and he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Even though he was severely disabled, Whitebeard's power was still so amazing. If Marco and others were to face his move, they would definitely be defeated. It can tear down the opponent's defense directly from the front. How can I still have the energy to argue with myself here? Ulala, there is no ship to carry me in the new era. Even though the veteran is old, he can still fight. Whitebeard laughed. The battle of strength between the two had come to an end. You are an amazingly talented boy. Even Roger back then was not as scary as you. As long as you are here, the age of pirates will never come. Whitebeard muttered to himself, and a dangerous aura enveloped Kurosawa. On the execution platform, Sangwo's eyelids twitched, and he quickly picked up the phone. All troops, protect Kurosawa with all your strength. If you die, the Warring States period will be a big headache. Whitebeard grinned. Even though there was blood hanging from the corners of his mouth, he still looked like a king. There is no one in this world who can kill me, let alone your dying old man. Kurosawa smiled evilly, and Whitebeard was even more surprised. The confidence and calmness in Kurosawa's eyebrows when he spoke seemed to be innate, and he was stating an ordinary thing. Buzz buzz. At the end of the confrontation between Whitebeard and Kurosawa, the terrifying power fluctuations shrank crazily to the center of the air-to-air confrontation between the two, and then suddenly exploded. In this great battle that will go down in history, Edward Newgate gave it his all within minutes of his appearance, and then. The strongest record is engraved in Malinfando. The entire Marinavando battlefield fell into a state of distortion after the explosion of this power. Only Whitebeard could faintly hear. Field infinite space. The power of Conqueror's haki spread rapidly. Whitebeard and Kurosawa's haki and bodies fell into short-term exhaustion after putting all their haki and bodies into that blow. But what Whitebeard didn't expect was that, after completing such an astonishing blow, Kurosawa's eyes once again erupted with astonishing brilliance. In Whitebeard's perception, an extremely ominous aura quickly rose up with Kurosawa as the center, and then was released instantly. Field infinite space. After Kurosawa's words fell, the huge spell power in his body condensed to create a small closed world, which is the highest masterpiece of spell power, domain skill. And unlike other special spell magicians such as Prison Master or Prison Nuo, within Kurosawa's realm of infinite space, the power of all his spells will receive an additional 50% increase. Under the effect of the field of infinite space, this small world is completely Kurosawa's home field. The closed area of the spell is completed. From the outside, it looks like a black ball completely encompassing Whitebeard and Kurosawa. There is a difference between an inner shell and an outer shell in a closed domain space. One way to break the domain space is to break the inner shell or the outer shell. Usually, the domain shell is much more fragile than the domain inner shell. Therefore, if Kurosawa wants to drag Whitebeard into the realm of infinite space, the first thing he must consider is to avoid interference from others and break the shell of his realm from the outside. Although it is possible to adjust the strength of the outer shell and the inner shell through amazing abilities, this will also increase risks in other aspects. The current situation can be said to be basically in line with Kurosawa's original expectations. One move of darkness and divine avoidance collides with Whitebeard, clearing away all the targets around him. The next step is to completely enter his rhythm. Quote. The moment the domain was completed, Whitebeard's eyes became dull, and his body stood there blankly, as if he had lost his soul. In fact, it was almost the same. Even though Whitebeard felt the full of ominous malice erupting from Kurosawa and his strength was temporarily exhausted, he had no countermeasures at all. The moment he fell into the realm of infinite space, Whitebeard's mind was filled with countless junk information. At the same time, the heaven-defying six-eye strengthened infinite space continued to launch high-intensity attacks on Whitebeard. Continuous and sustained mental attacks. Blood is constantly flowing out from Whitebeard's 7 orifices, and his brain has completed damage that is extremely difficult to repair. Buzz. In this black and white world, the dark blade reflected a penetrating cold light, and Kurosawa's figure flashed in front of Whitebeard. Facing the most powerful man in the world, Kurosawa did not dare to be careless even if he was hit by the strongest field control skills such as Wuliang Kongchu. And facing Whitebeard, Kurosawa had already guessed before the war started that a strong man like Whitebeard could unconsciously counterattack Ace's sneak attack even while sleeping. So does that mean? Chang. A sharp metal collision sounded in the quiet domain space, and the sparks caused by friction seemed so out of place. Kurosawa's pupils shrank slightly. As expected, you're quite capable, Whitebeard. The moment before Kurosawa's darkness slashed at Whitebeard, who should have been unable to move after being hit by the infinite space, miraculously blocked his attack with a sword. Chang chang chang. As a large number of sparks continued to sputter, Kurosawa immediately curled up the corner of his mouth and disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already behind Whitebeard, with a gorilla red light shining on Kurosawa's fingertips. Spell reversal H. The red ball of light shot out at an extremely fast speed. However, at this moment of life and death, Whitebeard, who could no longer control his body, swung his sword equally quickly to block the blow. Ding. Boom. Reversal of the technique. He suppressed Whitebeard and pushed him back step by step. Seeing this, Kurosawa finally determined that although Whitebeard could still move after being hit by the infinite space, the combat power he could exert could not exceed 1/3 of the original. Now Whitebeard can't even receive the instant spell reversal he directly. The corner of Kurosawa's mouth curled up, and the darkness in Kurosawa's hand was wrapped with a terrifying bloody spell. The bloody sword light illuminated this small black and white world even more weirdly. 80 Dao Pulse. Quote. Outside, when Kurosawa pulled Whitebeard into the realm world, everyone on the battlefield began to take action around the two. What is brother Kurosawa trying to do? Really, but he seems to have a way to deal with that man on his own. An extremely cold figure slowly walked towards the black ball. The extreme coldness exuding from his body made even the bullets fired at him freeze into ice before they even got close. Kuzan let out a cold breath and looked at the man in front of him. No matter what, all we seniors can do now is to stop you. Aokiji. Crocodile's face was solemn. Among the enemies he least wanted to face on this battlefield, Kuzan would definitely be at the forefront. Second gear. Rubber machine gun. Boom, clack, clack, clack. The red fist glowing with steam was about to leave an afterimage, and it actually completely shattered Kuzan's body. Crocodile looked on the side and was stunned. Straw Hat Boy. Crocodile couldn't figure it out. In front of Kuzan, wasn't Straw Hat Luffy just a one-shot guy? How could he still have the chance to beat Kuzan to pieces? What Crocodile didn't know was that Kuzan also had a huge headache at this time. Facing Garp's grandson, he really couldn't kill him. Sand Crocodile, take advantage of the moment. When Luffy saw that he had succeeded, he hurriedly shouted to Crocodile. Seeing this, the latter could only bite the bullet. Countless flying sand filled the battlefield, and his hands turned into sand. Desert Diamond Sword. Crack. With the combined force of the two, Kuzan's body was completely destroyed. I actually won against the general. Crocodile looked at the scene in front of him, smoke slowly rising from the cigar held in the corner of his mouth, and fell into silence for a while. Come on, Sand Crocodile, let's go help that white-bearded uncle. After Luffy finished speaking, he ran towards the black ball. He had an intuition that if he wanted to rescue Ace, Whitebeard would be an indispensable fighting force. Are you ordering me? Crocodile looked unhappy, but continued to act. On the battlefield, Mihawk's hands were itching unbearably. After seeing Kurosawa unleash the Dark God dodge move, his desire to compete with him had reached its peak. But looking at the black ball, Mihawk knew that now was obviously not the time. Cover Dad, although I don't know what trick Marine is using, but we must not let them succeed. Find a way to smash that black ball. Marco flew high into the sky, and Whitebeard disappeared briefly. As the captain of the first team, he naturally carried the flag. As soon as the words fell, the Whitebeard pirates also began to attack the black ball. Although Marine reacted quickly and Sengoku ordered to stop the pirates' intentions, such a black ball was too obvious a target on such a huge battlefield, not to mention the safety of the execution platform must be considered first. Within half a minute, with the Straw Hat Rescue Team's interference and the all-out efforts of the Whitebeard pirates, the black ball was attacked by a large number of people. Rescue Dad, we will still be the winners of this war. Come on, it's just a ploy by Marine, Dad is the strongest. Bang, 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 bang. Countless shelling and bullets are fired randomly on the battlefield. If you don't pay attention, you will be taken away by attacks coming from nowhere. However, there is one person on such a battlefield, and countless dangers always pass by him. And pass. Buggy the Clown came to a corner, took out his phone bug, and started his exclusive live broadcast. Hello everyone, I am the newcomer, the new pirate superstar, Buggy. People around the world were confused when they saw the clowns who replaced them on the screen. Who the hell is this clown? I want to see Whitebeard. By the way, what is the black ball behind this clown? Amid the doubts of the world, a figure finally came to Black Ball under the cover of his companions. Kurosawa, you will definitely die this time. Beasta swung his swords, and the powerful sword energy instantly struck the black ball. Then countless cracks spread. Under the attention of the world, the black ball exploded, revealing the scene inside. The proud smile that Beasta had just a second ago froze on his face, and countless people were horrified and lost their voices. This is. Almost at the same time that Beasta cut open the shell of the realm, infinite space, Kurosawa's figure appeared in front of Whitebeard, and the latter's consciousness regained control of his body at this moment. However, even if Whitebeard, who had already suffered irreversible damage, regained consciousness, he could only watch the cold light getting closer and closer to him. Countless images flashed back in Whitebeard's mind, representing his past life. The next moment, darkness slashed across Whitebeard's waist, and the sharp dark red sword energy surged, cutting Whitebeard's entire waist in half. A fountain of blood, relayed in real time by Buggy's phone bug, fell into the eyes of the world. What? Dad. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully killing Edward Newgate. Obtaining a 100 million level bounty worth 504,600 points. Ding. Congratulations to host for achieving the achievement, the fall of the strongest. Under the attention of the world, blood spurted out from Bybird's waist, and his upper body hit the ground heavily. For a time, people on the battlefield and around the world who saw this scene couldn't help but be stunned. Quote. Hey, did I read that correctly? That man, the strongest man, is now dead. This is incredible. Yes, Whitebeard actually kept his lower body standing even after death. He is indeed the strongest man. Ah, your focus is a bit strange, isn't it? On the giant tree in Sabayati, the wine bottle in Rayleigh's hand fell into the empty space. He looked at the screen absent-mindedly. Although the fact had happened, he still felt extremely unbelievable. That Newgate, who was once on par with Captain Roger, actually died like this. Is the era of great pirates really coming to an end? On the screen, Kurosawa's feet slowly landed on the ground, and those blue pupils reflected in the eyes of the world at this moment were so incomparable. You actually cut that Whitebeard in half. What happened during the time when the screen was lost just now? Countless New World pirates looked at Kurosawa on the screen in horror. Even the Emperor of the Sea was cut in half. Then the ending for these small characters must be even more tragic. On the battlefield of Marinefando. Ding! Congratulations to host for achieving the achievement, the fall of the strongest. Reward. A billion level bounty worth 100,000 points. The power of the earthquake fruit LV1. Conqueror's domineering storage card LV6. The power of shaking fruit LV1. All moves can have the power of shaking. Normal bounty value. 24,200 points. Billion level bounty value. 749,300 points. Skill comments. Every blow goes straight to the depths of the opponent, causing him to tremble and twitch. It's so pleasant. Whitebeard, I will probably never forget you in my lifetime. Kurosawa spoke sincerely with a smile on his face. At the same time, listening to the echoes of fate in his mind, Kurosawa's mood has never been so wonderful. I gained over 600,000 points worth of billion-level bounties in one fell swoop. This feeling couldn't be more perfect. At this moment, Kurosawa is very able to understand the prison master's behavior of floating in the air after awakening the reversal technique and the void-style Cho, shouting about everything in the world, and that he is the only one in the world. And the victory speech that Launuo couldn't wait to give after killing Gojo Satoru. Because, I really can't help it. Kurosawa's eyes swept across the battlefield, taking in everyone's expressions. At this time, Mihawk's fists that had been wrapped around him had been lowered. Unknowingly, he had faintly assumed a fighting posture from the initial calmness. The twinkling and shrinking of the pair of heavy-wheeled eyes, even though there were no words, had revealed the unrest in his heart. Doflamingo, who always liked to laugh endlessly, also behaved strangely at this moment. He who only needed the last step to defeat Moria, his body was stunned like this. If anyone could see through his eyes under his pink sunglasses, he would definitely be able to find that this arrogant underground joker had unprecedented shock in his eyes. Mariah looked frightened at this time, and the huge tension made him sweat all over. If God gives him another chance, he will definitely say 3 words to Kurosawa at the Shichibukai meeting, that is. Even Boya Hancock, who had always looked higher than his head and looked down upon all men except Luffy, had a look of shock on his peerless face. This man actually killed Whitebeard. Could it be that I really made a mistake? There is actually a more special man than Luffy in this world. Miguel, who was dressed all in black, murmured, "Boss, you are simply invincible." It's not just Miguel. On the battlefield now, Kurosawa's figure is so dazzling in the eyes of every sailor. At this moment, even the 3 Marine generals who represented the highest combat power of Marine headquarters looked dim in front of him. Just like the god of war, there was nothing he couldn't do. At this time, the Marines all believed that even if another 4 emperors came, Kurosawa could kill them. The new era, ha 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 ha. Huo Shaoshan let out a hearty laugh. There has never been such a hearty war. Kurosawa, I, Huo Shaoshan, would like to call you the best Marine in the new era, powerful. On the execution platform, Ace's face turned pale, bloodshot eyes protruding from his eyes, staring at the broken body, still praying in his heart without giving up. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, Dad, this can't be true. As a Marine Fleet Admiral, Sengoku has experienced many storms and waves. Now he can't control his facial expressions. He opens his mouth wide in shock, and then turns into a burst of laughter, as if he has used all his strength to get it. The phone caller shouted. All pirates, listen, your commander, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate has been killed by our Marine rising star Kurosawa. You are now ordered to surrender, otherwise we, Marine, will completely annihilate you. Sengoku's words spread throughout the battlefield through the phone bug amplifier, bringing the distracted people back to reality. Countless Marines raised their arms and shouted, Kurosawa, 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 this is the strength of our new era Marine. Tremble, pirates. Did you hear that? Surrender, Whitebeard pirates. You pirates, your doom has come. Accept the justice of our Marine. Marine's morale, at this moment, after Kurosawa killed Whitebeard, has reached its highest peak since the war began. On the contrary, the morale of the Whitebeard pirates has completely dropped, and some pirates have even begun to drop their weapons and start to flee in panic. At this moment, after Whitebeard's death, the Whitebeard pirates began to collapse in a real sense. The only one who remains sane is the white-bearded Captain Marco, who looks like a phoenix but actually has a pineapple head. Marco looked at Whitebeard, who was lying in a pool of blood. He couldn't help but recall what Whitebeard had said to him before this war started. Marco, if I die, your mission is to take over from me, rescue Ace, and then bring everyone back to the New World safely. Marco turned his head. His eyes had become extremely cold, and the extinguished immortal flames on his body rose and burned. The special aura exuding from it seemed to be that he had experienced nirvana after death and was reborn from the ashes. At this time, after Whitebeard's death, Marco's mind undergoes a huge change, and his body and mind become one with the phantasmal beast Phoenix Fruit, and the phantasmal beast, Bird Fruit, and Phoenix form is fully awakened. A scream pierced the sky, and the immortal flames rekindled over Malinvando. Without mourning for Whitebeard's death for even a moment, the person who immediately rushed to the execution platform was the current leader of the strongest team of the Whitebeard pirates. Marco the dead bird. Everyone listen to my order. Even though Dad is dead, his will is still there. Rescue Ace. Don't let Dad's sacrifice go in vain. Marco soared high in the sky, shouting at the defeated pirates, and at the same time, in this messy battlefield, he flew towards the execution platform at high speed. However, Marco's shouting effect is very limited. The one closest to Kurosawa was a gentleman in a tuxedo. He was the captain of the 5th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, the world's top swordsman, Foil Bista. As the person who recently watched his father being chopped in half. Looking at Kurosawa, who was still smiling after killing Whitebeard, like an artist appreciating his masterpiece with satisfaction, countless emotions surged out of Bista's heart instantly. For a moment, the rationality in his mind was completely swallowed up by the tide of emotions. Bista no longer wanted to think about anything else. He only had one thought in his mind now. That means killing Kurosawa. Buzz. The rose sword Chi resurrected, dodges from a very short distance, and kills Kurosawa. However, those who are familiar with the rose sword aura at this time will see that although it is still bright, it reveals a strong death aura, and it has long lost the scorching red color of the past. The same thing happened in Kurosawa's eyes. Looking at the rose sword energy that was getting closer, Kurosawa smiled evilly. System, add more points. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully injecting 150,000 points of 100 million bounty points. The skill of Natural Combatant LV4 has been upgraded to Extreme Extraordinary LV5. Extreme Extraordinary LV5 in battle. Use abilities not higher than this skill level in combination with the limit. Use high-level skills to get a 50% bonus. The same level skills get a 150% bonus. Low-level skills get a 300% bonus. Skill comments. Even if you are the enemy of the whole world, you still dare to say you are invincible, you still dare to say you are invincible. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 100,000 points into the billion-level bounty. Heaven-defying 6 eyes has been upgraded to LV5. In an instant, in Kurosawa's eyes, Bista's movements slowed down 10 times more than before, and all the flaws were completely reflected in Kurosawa's mind. Kurosawa had a feeling in his heart that with the help of Level 5's Heaven-defying 6 eyes and Extreme Extraordinary blessings, even with Level 5's sword skills alone, he could already defeat Bista steadily. Very good. Kurosawa smiled even more. Keep filling me up. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting a normal bounty value of 9,500 points. The power of the shock fruit has been upgraded to LV4. Remaining normal bounty value, 14,700 points. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 100,000 points into the 100 million level bounty. Domain. The demon subduing chef has been upgraded to LV5. Remaining billion level bounty value, 399,300 points. At this time, Kurosawa looked at the details of Conqueror's Hockey's next level skill and hesitated briefly. Conqueror's Hockey LV5, unparalleled power of the heart that is almost heavenly in the world. The reserve of Hockey increases like a bottomless abyss. Conqueror's Hockey becomes able to suppress the soul and imprison the power of the awakening level devil fruit. The spread range can reach 10,000 meters. Hiss. It seems very tempting, but in order to upgrade Conqueror's domineering power from LV4 to LV5, it actually requires 300,000 billion level bounty value. Conqueror's domineering level 5 should be able to harden Shanks with Conquerors alone, right? But Shanks' swordsmanship and other two-color hockey will definitely not be inferior too much. And now that I have a memory card of Conqueror's hockey level 6, I feel that during that period, I was already a god blocking the killing god. Let's put it aside for now. For now, the opponents on this battlefield are not enough for me to use such a trump card. So, ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 1,500 billion level bounty value. Domain infinite space has been upgraded to LV5. Remaining billion level bounty value, 249,300 points. I can't spend it all, I can't spend it all. Keep adding to me. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 5,000 billion level bounty value. Spell reversal he upgraded to LV4. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 5,000 billion level bounty value. Technique 8 has been upgraded to LV4. Ding. Congratulations to host for injecting 5 trillion level bounty value. 80 Dao Pulse has been upgraded to LV4. Remaining billion level bounty value, 99,300 points. This is about to bottom out. With the last billion level bounty value, Kurosawa thought about it for a moment and decided to inject 50,000 points to upgrade the technique reverse Kang to LV4. In this way, the power of the ultimate move Zushishi Shin can also be increased simultaneously. After doing this, Kurosawa looked at Beasta and licked his lips, as if he were looking at a little lamb. The bounty is 884,000 points. Oh my, you really get what you need. Seeing Beasta getting closer and closer to Kurosawa, the Marines who were watching were a little anxious. Danger, Colonel Kurosawa, I'm here to help you. Colonel Kurosawa has just killed Whitebeard. He must not be able to deal with the captain with all his strength at this moment. We must quickly provide support. Such thoughts arose in everyone's minds, and they all took action. However, their actions were frantically interrupted and blocked by the Straw Hat Rescue Team. Even in order to protect Kurosawa, in the process, a road leading to the execution platform was opened unknowingly. You are so capable, Kurosawa-kun. Golden light particles shined, buzz buzz. Gun wave. Just as the golden light was about to dissipate, an extremely powerful water column penetrated it, and then the power of the water column continued unabated, like a sharp spear, piercing the battlefield in a straight line. Wherever it passed, even shields as hard as blades were penetrated by this powerful water column. Yo, Jinbei. Porosalino dodged this move, and then his figure gathered at the side, but a fat blue figure had already approached him. Emloculent Karate, Secret Art, Oniwa Shokin. Boom. It's Kaishia Jinbei. Isn't he a Shichibukai? Why would he help the pirates? Don't be afraid, we have Kurosawa and the generals here. Shichibukai will win. On Sakazuki's side, he returned to the execution platform route, preparing to intercept Marco, but after a Dark Hound attack, Sakazuki realized something was wrong. This Marco's regeneration ability seems to be much stronger than before. Sakazuki was shocked. On the other side, Kuzan was stopped by Luffy and others. Seeing this, Kurosawa was not as panicked as everyone expected. Buzz. Seeing the rose airflow slash that split the earth with countless cracks even after the sword energy spattered, Kurosawa just stretched out a finger, and the scarlet light flashed instantly and then burst out. With the ultimate extraordinary blessing, it is also instantaneous, but its power is no longer what it used to be. Spell Reversal H. As soon as it was fired, a terrifying explosion filled the air instantly, completely submerging Beasta's figure. The smoke and dust raised can block other people's perception, but Kurosawa can see it very clearly. There is no magic fuse. Kurosawa curls the corner of his mouth, the red light on his fingertips shines again, and then 2 consecutive shots are fired out. Boom, boom, ding. Congratulations to host for killing Beasta. Obtaining a 100 million level bounty worth 88,400 points. Without pausing, Kurosawa's eyes flashed with blue light, and the next moment after his figure disappeared, he appeared in front of Marco in the sky. Hey, long time no see. Looking at Kurosawa's smile, the suppressed anger in Marco's heart showed signs of recovery, but after completing his transformation, he quickly came to his senses. Now, rescuing Ace and then retreating is the best plan. With this guy's power, he still can't kill me, not to mention that I have now completed my devil fruit awakening. Even that guy Akainu's attack couldn't do anything to me. Thinking of this, Marco unleashed his claws towards Kurosawa with all his strength. Kurosawa smiled slightly, and the darkness in his hand entangled the killing curse. Field. Demon suppressing chef. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, Marco was cut into pieces. In the latter's unbelievable eyes, he even felt that his soul was being cut by invisible slashes. Now Kurosawa is on the battlefield of Marinafando, and no one can stop him anymore. Gia ha ha ha. Lousy is here. Warring states. Bite. Nowadays, Kurosawa no longer needs to hide, and the complete domain of demon subduing chef is directly and completely embodied in front of the world. High in the sky, countless marine pirates were trembling with fear as they looked at the sudden appearance of the demon-slaying shrine. What on earth is this? It's so weird, and why does it make me feel so evil? Is that something created by Colonel Kurosawa? It's simply terrifyingly strong. The boundless strange aura was released from the demon-suppressing shrine. Just floating quietly in the air made people feel creepy. Even the elite lieutenant general of the Marine headquarters who had experienced battles in the field suddenly felt extremely oppressive. He was so far away. Such a distance, the palm holding the blade in his hand could not stop shaking. Huo Shaoshan held a cigarette in his mouth and murmured, "Kurosawa. Are you the reincarnation of Asura? This murderous aura is too strong." Domain. The demon-subduing chef's embodied demon-subduing shrine. Each bone shimmers with an eerie light, telling of endless death and sorrow. On top of the shrine, the black-haired boy's eyes flashed blue, he grinned with a white fang, and an invisible slash roared out, covering Marco's figure instantly. Swish, swish, swish. The power of invisible slashes has been greatly improved after the demon-subdued chef in the domain has been upgraded to level 5, so even Marco, who has also made great progress and completed the awakening of his devil fruit ability, is still difficult to withstand. After all, Marco awakened the phantom beast species, the bird fruit, and the phoenix form. Although his physical and mental transformation and even his domineering power under the influence of the power of the heart have been broken through, he can face the current level 5 field, the demon-suppressing chef slash, or it was defeated in an instant. Even the high-grade weapons hockey hardening or entanglement could not withstand the cursed slash from Kurosawa. The extreme pain from all over the body instantly swept through Marco's brain. Then everyone saw that in the sky, the phoenix exuding strange blue immortal flames shattered into countless fragments in an instant. Captain Marco. He gave Captain Marco to him all at once. A red figure looked up at the sky, and Sakazuki's pupils reflected the tragic situation of Marco the Phoenix. He didn't have the slightest sympathy, but could not help but feel doubts in his heart. The power used by Kurosawa as an invisible slash, the regeneration ability that can even block my Dark Hound, seems unable to withstand Kurosawa's attack. Sakazuki was shocked. As an awakened rock berry fruit user, with one Dark Hound attack, he could be said to be dead or maimed under the 4 emperors. Even for a monster as powerful as Whitebeard, after taking one of his Dark Hound shots, his health bar was suddenly dropped to the kill line. The destructive power is so strong that it is definitely a well-deserved T0 level among Logia fruit abilities. But with this amount of damage, is it even better than Kurosawa? Sakazuki felt incredible, and so did Marco, but he could not even moan in pain after being cut into pieces. Marco's last vision was just to see Kurosawa grinning, and then all his senses disappeared. In the severe pain, less than 2.5 seconds had passed in the outside world, and he already felt that a century had passed. When the fight reaches this point, this guy's level of damage output will definitely not last for long. I just need to get through it. Marco, who has a strong will, relies on the obsession in his heart to force the regeneration ability of the devil fruit to continue to operate. Otherwise, the moment Marco is swallowed up by the extreme pain, he will die because he can no longer maintain his ability. Cut into blood mist. But Marco's calculation was wrong. When the invisible slash cut his body into pieces less than the size of a small finger, Kurosawa's eyes flashed, and he faced the target of the slash in the field, demon fighting chef. The focus has changed. Swish, swish, swish. It was also an invisible slash, but this time, Marco really felt that his soul was being slaughtered. Perhaps out of soul self-preservation, endless fear forcibly awakened Marco's soul consciousness. At this moment, while Marco was being tortured crazily by huge pain, the consciousness in his soul could even detect that all his abilities were rapidly disappearing. Dominance, body, vitality, voice, etc., as long as they are possessed by a normal life with a soul, are being stripped away by the demon-subduing chef's slashes. Just like a butcher killing a fish, peeling off the scales layer by layer, and then gnawing them all away. This is the demon-subduing chef. Kurosawa smiled even more when he saw this, but something beyond his expectation was that under the powerful perception of the heaven-defying six eyes, a group of people appeared quietly in the collapse of a building in Malinfando caused by Whitebeard. Why are these guys here so early? Kurosawa was aware of Blackbeard's appearance, but why was Douglas Bullet beside him also here? Something unexpected happened for unknown reasons. After all, in the original plot direction, Douglas Bullet was once a powerful force in the Roger Pirates, but he appeared as the big boss in the theatrical version, and his character was naturally extremely unruly. Kurosawa was very curious as to what reason Blackbeard Teach used to pull him here. On the execution platform, bang, bang, bang. Ace's face was pale, and tears kept flowing from his eyes. He was so remorseful that he was frantically hitting the floor with his headbutt. "I'm sorry everyone. I'm sorry Dad. It's me who hurt you. Stop and leave here. I, a sinner, don't need you to save me." However, no one will change because of Ace's words. On the battlefield at this time, those who should be chased and killed, those who should flee for their lives, those who are confused are still confused. The words of a man in chains have no weight. In a pool of blood, Kebi, who had lost an arm, suddenly woke up. "Don't kill me. Don't kill me. I don't want to die. Hoo. Ah." As soon as Kebi recovered from the shock, he screamed in pain from the severe pain in his broken arm. Balloon quickly comforted him. "Kirby, cheer up. We Marine are going to win. That Kurosawa will kill Whitebeard." Nani. Hearing this, Kebi seemed to have lost his life. At this moment, his outlook on life had collapsed. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully killing Marco. Obtaining a billion-level bounty of 137,400 points. Ding. Congratulations to host for achieving the phased achievement reward unlocking conditions. The Fall of the Whitebeard Captains 7/15. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.